The sun hung low over Asheville, casting a warm glow on the streets where artists displayed their work, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air. I stood in my living room, glancing at my phone. My massage appointment had been cancelled. I sighed, feeling the tension in my shoulders tighten further. It had been weeks since I last felt relaxed, and the thought of missing out on a moment of respite was frustrating. "Emily?" Tyler's voice broke through my thoughts as he entered the house. My stepson had come over to help with some chores, but today he wore a different look, one that hinted at something deeper. He approached me with an idea that caught me off guard. "I could give you a massage," he suggested lightly, his tone casual yet earnest. "I've picked up some techniques from my yoga classes." I hesitated, torn between discomfort and the longing for connection that had been missing from my life for so long. The idea of being touched by him felt strange and yet strangely appealing. I glanced at his hopeful expression and felt an unexpected warmth wash over me. "Are you sure?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Yeah. It could be fun," he replied, a hint of enthusiasm brightening his eyes. "Just think of it as a way to relax." After a moment's pause, I nodded slowly. "All right then." We moved to the living room where soft light filtered through sheer curtains. The atmosphere shifted as I lay down on the couch, heart racing slightly at the intimacy of it all. Tyler's hands began to work on my shoulders with surprising skill. His touch was firm yet gentle. As he kneaded away the knots in my back, sensations flooded through me, relief mingled with an unusual tension that tinged each stroke with an unspoken bond we were forging in this secret space. Memories of our family gatherings came rushing back, laughter shared over dinner tables and quiet moments during holidays, but they felt distant now, overshadowed by this new dynamic. "Your technique is impressive," I remarked softly, trying to break the silence that hung between us like a fragile thread. "Thanks. I've been practicing," he replied with a chuckle. "You deserve some pampering." His words struck a chord deep within me, a reminder of how little pampering I received in my own life lately. My marriage felt like a series of obligations rather than moments filled with affection and care. As Tyler continued his work on my back, I found myself sinking deeper into relaxation while battling an internal conflict about our situation. With each passing minute, it became harder to ignore the emotional connection blossoming between us, an uncharted territory fraught with complexities and implications that made me uneasy yet exhilarated. Suddenly, my phone buzzed loudly on the table beside me, my husband's name flashing across the screen. The intrusion snapped me back to reality like a cold splash of water. Guilt surged through me as I considered answering it. Instead, I let it ring out into silence while Tyler paused momentarily before resuming his massage. "Everything okay?" he asked quietly. I nodded but couldn't shake off the weight of secrecy looming over us like storm clouds gathering in the distance. Our eyes met briefly as if acknowledging an unsaid truth, the thrill mingling with apprehension about where this might lead us both. The session continued, however, each stroke became more significant than just physical relief. It carried implications that reached far beyond mere touch or comfort. As Tyler worked on my lower back now, I felt an unusual bond forming, a connection that transcended our roles within our family unit. What was happening? This wasn't supposed to be how things unfolded between us, yet here we were, engaged in something so intimate that it blurred lines and challenged everything I thought about fidelity and emotional closeness. In those fleeting moments when his hands pressed against me firmly yet tenderly, doubt crept into my mind. Was this session merely about relaxation? Or was it something deeper, a need for affection that had long gone unfulfilled? As if sensing my turmoil, Tyler paused again but didn't pull away entirely. Instead, he leaned closer as if seeking reassurance from me just as much as I sought it from him. "Emily," he said softly after what felt like an eternity wrapped in silence between us. "I hope this is okay." His words hung there heavy in the air, a question laced with uncertainty that mirrored my own feelings perfectly. Could we navigate these hidden touches without crossing boundaries we never intended to breach? A wave of warmth surged through me again, a mix of longing and fear battling inside, but before either of us could say anything more profound than what had already passed between us silently, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. I jolted upright instinctively as though jolted from a dream state. Reality crashed back down around us both like waves against rocks, harsh yet inevitable, a reminder that we existed within boundaries defined by family ties and societal expectations. Should we get that? Tyler asked hesitantly while glancing toward where our lives awaited outside this momentary sanctuary we'd created together. Yes, I replied faintly, but knew deep down what lay ahead would change everything, even if only subtly, for both him and me alike, moving forward from here on out into uncertain waters filled with hidden touches lingering just beneath surface-level interactions going forward. The air hung thick with an unspoken tension as I lay there, my body relaxed under Tyler's skilled hands. Every stroke sent ripples of warmth through me, easing the knots of stress that had built up over the years. I had come seeking solace, but what I found was something far more complicated. The intimacy of the moment felt like a secret shared between us, an escape from the mundane reality of my life. Do you ever feel like you're just going through the motions? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Tyler paused for a moment, considering my words. Yeah, he replied, his hands stilling on my back. Sometimes it feels like everyone expects us to be something we're not. I closed my eyes, letting his words sink in. It wasn't just him who felt that way, I did too. My marriage had become a series of obligations rather than a partnership filled with love and support. As I lay there, vulnerable and exposed, I couldn't help but share more of myself. I miss feeling connected, I confessed, unsure why I was opening up to him in this way. Tyler resumed his massage, his fingers moving deftly over my shoulders. It's hard to connect when life gets in the way, he said softly. His words resonated deeply within me. Life had indeed gotten in the way. Between work commitments and family obligations, there was little room left for genuine connection. A part of me yearned for something more than just physical touch. I craved emotional intimacy that seemed to have slipped through my fingers over time. Sometimes it feels like no one really sees me, I continued, feeling emboldened by the trust we were building in this secluded space. I see you, he said quietly. The sincerity in his voice sent a shiver down my spine. It was unexpected and disarming. For a fleeting moment, it felt as if we were suspended in time, two souls sharing their innermost thoughts without fear of judgment or consequence. But then guilt crept in like an unwelcome guest at a party. This wasn't right. He was my stepson, this connection was forbidden. Tyler, my voice faltered as uncertainty washed over me. What? He asked gently, concern flickering across his features. I don't want to cross any lines, I said hesitantly. He took a deep breath before responding. Lines can be blurred sometimes. There was an intensity in his gaze that made me question everything, the boundaries we had established and the ones we were now willing to challenge together. As if sensing my hesitation, Tyler leaned down closer to me. You don't have to feel guilty about wanting to connect. His breath brushed against my ear, a whisper that ignited something deep within me. In that charged moment, our eyes locked as if drawn together by an invisible force. The world outside faded away until all that remained was the two of us and this electric connection pulsing between us. And then it happened, we kissed. The kiss was tentative at first but quickly deepened into something more profound than either of us could have anticipated. It felt like stepping off a cliff into unknown waters, terrifying yet exhilarating all at once. My heart raced as every rational thought fled from my mind. All that mattered was this connection we were forging amidst chaos and confusion. But just as quickly as it began, reality crashed back into our bubble when Tyler's phone buzzed insistently on the table beside him. The sound shattered our moment like glass hitting concrete. It brought with it the weight of consequences we both knew lay ahead. "Should we get that?" he asked hesitantly while glancing toward where our lives awaited outside this momentary sanctuary we'd created together. "Yes," I replied faintly, but knew deep down what lay ahead would change everything, even if only subtly. For both him and me alike, moving forward from here on out into uncertain waters filled with hidden touches lingering just beneath surface-level interactions going forward. As Tyler answered the call and turned away from me for those few moments, doubt crept back into my mind like fog enveloping a quiet morning street. What had just happened? Had we crossed a line too far? He returned shortly after hanging up, concern etched across his face as he sat back down beside me on the massage table, a reminder of our shared secret hovering between us now heavier than ever before. "Everything okay?" I asked cautiously, searching his eyes for reassurance while grappling with my own swirling emotions inside. "Yeah," he replied slowly, but didn't meet my gaze directly, choosing to focus on an invisible spot somewhere beyond where we sat together now. The weight of what lingered between us palpable yet unspoken, still hanging heavily overhead like storm clouds threatening rain at any moment without warning or mercy. We fell silent again after that, a silence filled with unsaid words echoing loudly around us amidst all these hidden touches exchanged so freely moments ago. What would come next? Would either one of us dare explore further down this path we'd inadvertently begun walking together? The thought made my heart race anew even while guilt clawed at its edges, reminding me constantly about what lay beyond this brief interlude, a life waiting outside these walls filled with expectations wrapped tightly around every decision made thus far. I couldn't shake off feelings swirling inside any more than could stop time itself from moving onward into tomorrow, where consequences beckoned ominously ahead, lurking just beyond sight, waiting patiently for choices made today. The warmth of Tyler's hands lingered on my skin, an imprint of the connection we had forged in that dimly lit room. I had entered seeking solace, yet I emerged with a new weight on my heart. The guilt was there, but it was overshadowed by the thrill of something forbidden, an emotional tether that tightened with each shared secret. As I lay there, the soft hum of the city outside faded into the background. My thoughts drifted to my husband, Mark, who was likely engrossed in his usual evening routine. He had no idea that I was grappling with feelings I had never anticipated. The contrast between our lives and this newfound intimacy felt like a chasm widening beneath me. Tyler's voice broke through my reverie. "Emily, do you think we're crossing a line?" His tone was cautious, yet there was an eagerness that made my heart flutter. "Maybe," I replied, trying to sound nonchalant. "But it feels good to talk like this." He nodded slowly, his gaze piercing through the veil of uncertainty that hung between us. "I don't want to hurt you or your marriage." Those words struck me hard. Did he truly care about my well-being? Or was he simply caught up in this momentary escape? The questions swirled in my mind like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. "Sometimes," he continued, "I feel like we understand each other better than anyone else." There was a vulnerability in his admission that resonated deeply within me. Our lips met then, a fleeting brush that sent shockwaves through my entire being. It wasn't just physical, it felt like a collision of two worlds, his youthful exuberance and my yearning for connection. The moment hung heavy in the air as if time itself paused to witness our transgression. I pulled away first, breathless and unsure. "What are we doing?" I whispered, more to myself than him. "I don't know," he confessed, running a hand through his hair as if trying to shake off the intensity of what just transpired. "But it feels right, doesn't it?" I hesitated before answering. The thrill coursing through me battled against the nagging voice reminding me of my commitments. The vows exchanged under a sunlit sky years ago were now overshadowed by this unexpected bond with Tyler. "Emily," he said softly, breaking into my thoughts again. "I think about you more than I should." The confession hung between us like an unspoken promise and an unending dilemma. "I can't keep doing this," I said finally, though deep down I knew those words were merely an echo of what I wanted to believe rather than a reflection of reality. Tyler's expression shifted from hope to disappointment as he stepped back slightly, creating space where none existed moments before. I understand if you want me to go. No, I quickly interjected, not wanting him to leave just yet. It's not that simple. The weight of our choices pressed down on us both as silence enveloped the room again. Only the distant sounds of Asheville filtered through the window. The laughter from nearby cafes and the strumming of guitars from street performers filled with life outside our bubble. I need some time to think, I finally said, breaking the stillness. Take all the time you need, Tyler replied quietly but with a hint of sadness in his voice that tugged at something deep within me. As he gathered his things and prepared to leave, dread settled in my stomach at the thought of returning to normalcy. The mundane routines waiting for me at home felt suffocating now after tasting something so different. Emily? Tyler paused at the door, looking back at me one last time. Promise me you'll be honest with yourself. His words echoed long after he left, an invitation and a warning all wrapped into one. When I returned home later that evening, Mark was already settled into his usual spot on the couch with a book resting on his lap. He glanced up as I entered but quickly returned his gaze to the pages as if sensing something had shifted within me, a quiet acknowledgement without words spoken aloud. How was your day? He asked absent-mindedly. Fine, I replied too quickly. Even as I spoke it felt hollow against everything swirling inside me. Mark nodded but didn't press further. Instead he resumed reading while I stood frozen for a moment by the door, caught between two worlds yet feeling utterly alone in both. As night fell over Asheville and shadows danced along familiar walls, guilt crept back into focus alongside confusion about where this tangled path might lead us all. My husband's expectations looming large against this newfound intimacy with Tyler that seemed both exhilarating and terrifying all at once. The next few days passed in a blur, each moment filled with tension between what I craved and what society expected from me as a wife and mother. My conversations with Mark grew more superficial while thoughts of Tyler invaded every corner of my mind. Every smile shared during family dinners felt like an act performed on stage rather than genuine affection exchanged freely among loved ones. Attending social events became increasingly challenging. Laughter echoed around me while inside turmoil brewed, a constant reminder of how far removed from myself I had become since allowing Tyler into my life so intimately. One afternoon at an art fair bustling with color and creativity, a place once filled with joy for both Mark and me, I found myself standing before vibrant canvases depicting love stories intertwined through brushstrokes reflecting deep emotions. Each piece resonated painfully against my heart as if mocking what lay beneath surface appearances within my own life, a truth hidden behind painted smiles and polite conversations shared over warm coffee amidst laughter ringing out like chimes across sunlit streets outside galleries filled with artistry bursting forth from local talent eager for recognition amid crowds drawn together by passion alone. Then came an unexpected encounter. An old friend from college spotted me amidst throngs bustling past stalls showcasing handmade goods crafted lovingly by artisans nearby. She approached excitedly but paused when she caught sight of how distracted I'd become since last seeing her years ago. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she asked about Mark before glancing curiously toward where I'd been standing lost within thoughts swirling around Tyler instead. Are you okay? She finally asked gently after sensing something amiss behind forced smiles exchanged between us both during our conversation moments later. I'm fine, came out too quickly again while internally screaming for clarity amidst confusion surrounding choices made recently leading down paths never intended nor desired before now. Yet even as those words escaped lips formed tightly around fears held close within heart beating rapidly beneath layers worn carefully each day prior. A sudden realization hit hard. This wasn't just about infidelity or emotional connections anymore. It stretched deeper than mere attraction towards someone younger seeking attention away from responsibilities weighing heavily upon shoulders already burdened enough without adding complications further complicating lives intertwined together under societal norms, dictating how love ought be expressed openly without hesitation nor regret lingering long after decisions made impulsively driven solely by desires unmet elsewhere. And just then another thought struck unexpectedly when glancing back toward where Tyler stood across fairgrounds mingling comfortably among friends gathered nearby laughing heartily together seemingly unaware everything happening beneath surface-level interactions, occurring around them all too easily overlooked until faced directly head-on forcing choices once again into focus demanding answers sought desperately even while knowing consequences awaited regardless whichever path chosen moving forward beyond present moment frozen still forever etched vividly within memory forevermore. The night air was still, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of blooming jasmine through the open window. Tyler and I sat across from each other in the dim light of my living room, shadows dancing on the walls as we navigated the uncharted territory of our emotions. The weight of secrecy hung heavily between us, a palpable tension that seemed to thrum in the silence. "I can't keep doing this," I said softly, breaking the quiet. The words felt like a confession, an acknowledgement of what had unfolded between us. I glanced at Tyler, his expression a mixture of understanding and concern. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "What do you mean?" His voice was steady, but I could sense the underlying tension in his tone. "This, whatever it is, it feels wrong," I admitted, though my heart raced at the thought of walking away from him. I didn't intend for any of this to happen. Tyler's eyes searched mine, a flicker of vulnerability passing between us. "But it did happen," he replied quietly. "We can't pretend it didn't." The truth hung in the air like an uninvited guest. The night we spent together replayed in my mind, the laughter, the shared secrets, and that moment when everything shifted irrevocably. We spent the night together, and with it came a flood of emotions that challenged everything I believed about love and loyalty. "Do you think we're just being foolish?" I asked, trying to gauge where he stood amidst this whirlwind of feelings. "Maybe," he replied honestly. "But maybe there's something real here too." He paused for a moment before continuing. "I don't want to lose what we have." His words struck a chord deep within me. The connection we shared felt genuine, it was unlike anything I had experienced in years. Yet guilt gnawed at me relentlessly, my husband's face flashed through my mind, his unwavering trust and affection stark against this new reality. "I have responsibilities," I whispered, almost to myself. "A life built on promises." "I get that," Tyler said gently. "But what about your happiness? Doesn't that matter too?" The question lingered in the air like an echo bouncing off invisible walls closing in around us. My heart raced as I contemplated my choices, each one leading down a path fraught with uncertainty. "I don't know if I can just walk away from everything," I confessed, feeling tears prick at my eyes. "Then let's figure it out together," Tyler urged softly. "We don't have to rush into anything." His sincerity was both comforting and terrifying. It offered me a glimpse into what could be while reminding me of all that was at stake. In that moment, I felt torn between two worlds, the familiarity of my marriage and this intoxicating new connection with Tyler. As we talked late into the night, our conversation drifted from fears to dreams, what we wanted for ourselves and each other, and somewhere along the way, hope began to blossom amidst our uncertainty. But as dawn approached and light filtered through the curtains, reality crept back in like an unwelcome shadow. My phone buzzed on the table beside me, a reminder of my other life waiting just beyond these walls. I glanced at Tyler as he noticed my distraction, his expression shifted slightly, a mix of concern and resignation washed over him. "It's probably just Mark checking in," I said quickly but felt hollow saying it aloud. "Do you want to answer?" he asked cautiously. "No," I replied firmly but felt a pang of guilt twist within me again as silence enveloped us once more. What happens now? Tyler asked after a moment's pause. I hesitated before speaking again. Uncertainty laced my voice as I tried to articulate how deeply conflicted I truly felt inside. I need some time to think. Tyler nodded slowly but didn't look away from me. There was an intensity in his gaze that made my heart race once more, a mix of longing and fear swirling together beautifully yet painfully all at once. Just promise me one thing, he said finally after what felt like an eternity passed between us, filled only with unspoken thoughts lingering heavily overhead, waiting patiently for resolution, never quite coming forth yet always hovering nearby uninvitedly nonetheless. What? Don't shut me out completely. His voice was barely above a whisper now, but carried so much weight behind every word spoken aloud, hanging delicately suspended within air thickened by tensions surrounding both our hearts beating rapidly beneath skin, encasing fragile souls yearning desperately for connection yet fearful too. I won't. And as dawn broke outside, casting soft golden rays upon everything within reach, illuminating shadows previously hidden beneath surface-level interactions, revealing complexities buried deep down below, my heart swelled with conflicting emotions battling fiercely against one another, pulling me apart piece by piece, inch by inch, until finally standing at crossroads, staring into abyss ahead, uncertain future awaiting beyond horizon stretching endlessly outward, beckoning forth whatever fate lay ahead. The choices were mine alone to make, consequences awaited regardless whichever path chosen, moving forward beyond present moment, frozen still, forever etched vividly within memory forevermore. The festival bustled around me, a vibrant tapestry of colors and sounds that seemed to mock the turmoil inside. I walked beside my husband, Richard, who animatedly discussed the local artisans' work displayed at each booth. His enthusiasm was genuine, yet I struggled to reciprocate. My mind drifted to Tyler, whose presence lingered like an uninvited shadow. As we meandered through the crowd, I caught snippets of laughter and conversation that felt alien to me. The air was thick with the scent of cinnamon and freshly brewed coffee, but it only heightened my sense of disconnection. I glanced at Richard's face, illuminated by the afternoon sun. He looked happy, content in a way that felt foreign to me now. The guilt washed over me in waves, each one crashing harder than the last. Look at that pottery, Richard said, pointing toward a stall where a potter demonstrated his craft. Isn't it beautiful? I offered a half-hearted smile, my thoughts drifting back to Tyler's hands gliding over my skin during our massages. The way he listened as I spoke about my life felt like an oasis amidst my mundane reality. Each session had deepened our connection, shifting something fundamental in me. Emily? Richard's voice pulled me from my reverie. Yes? I replied, forcing myself to focus on him. Are you okay? You seem distant. I'm fine, I said too quickly, avoiding his gaze. The lie hung between us like a chasm. Richard nodded but didn't seem convinced. We continued walking until we reached a booth showcasing handmade jewelry. A woman with bright blue hair greeted us with a warm smile. Welcome. Everything is crafted right here in Asheville, she said, her voice bright against the festival's backdrop. I picked up a delicate silver necklace adorned with tiny charms, each one representing different aspects of life, love, family, creativity. Holding it felt grounding. It reminded me of the connections I craved yet struggled to maintain. It's lovely, Richard commented as he leaned closer to inspect it. Why don't you get it for Emily, the vendor suggested playfully. Richard chuckled lightly and turned his attention back to me. What do you think? It's beautiful, I replied automatically but felt no excitement about receiving gifts anymore. As we left the booth empty-handed, I spotted Tyler across the way at another stall, his laughter ringing out like music through the din of chatter. He was talking animatedly with an artist displaying her paintings. Their chemistry was palpable even from afar. A pang of longing shot through me as memories flooded back, our shared secrets during late-night conversations, and how he understood parts of me that had long been buried under years of routine. "Emily." Richard called again, snapping me back into reality. "What?" I asked sharply before softening at his confused expression. "Let's grab some food." He gestured toward a food truck selling gourmet tacos. "Sure." I nodded reluctantly as we made our way toward the line forming at the truck. Standing there waiting for our order felt agonizingly slow as my mind wandered once more to Tyler's struggles he had revealed during our last encounter, a difficult breakup that had left him feeling adrift and vulnerable. It struck me how easy it was for us to connect over shared pain while Richard remained blissfully unaware of this emotional landscape unfolding behind closed doors. We finally received our food and found a small table under an awning away from most festival-goers. The vibrant atmosphere buzzed around us while we ate in silence, punctuated by occasional small talk about trivial matters, how much Richard enjoyed his job or what new projects were happening in town. Each word felt like another layer added onto an already heavy burden resting on my shoulders. After finishing our meal, we wandered toward a stage where local musicians played folk tunes that resonated deeply within my heart but only served as reminders of what I lacked, a sense of true connection with someone who understood me completely. As we stood among other couples swaying together or laughing joyfully at shared jokes, envy gnawed at my insides. Every moment spent beside Richard felt increasingly hollow compared to what Tyler offered so effortlessly. Just then, I spotted Tyler again, this time standing alone near one of the art installations with his hands tucked into his pockets while observing passers-by with an intensity that drew me in like a moth to flame. My heart raced unexpectedly. What would happen if he noticed me standing there? "Emily?" Richard's voice broke through again as he turned toward where my gaze had landed so intently on Tyler's figure across the way. "What?" I replied defensively before realizing how harshly I'd spoken again. Frustration bubbled just beneath my surface today like boiling water ready to spill over any second now. "I thought you might want to check out some more booths." His brow furrowed slightly in concern for me, his awareness growing sharper despite my attempts at maintaining distance emotionally between us lately. I forced myself away from watching Tyler and nodded instead towards another direction away from him entirely, a decision made purely out of fear rather than genuine desire for exploration together today despite everything else weighing heavily on both minds here today. As we walked past various stalls filled with handmade crafts and artistic displays showcasing local talent around every corner under bright sunshine overhead illuminating colorful creations all around us, I couldn't shake off feeling trapped within this facade constructed carefully over years built upon expectations rather than authentic connections formed naturally between people sharing mutual understanding instead. Suddenly amidst all these thoughts swirling chaotically within came another pang. A realization struck hard. Every moment spent avoiding facing reality only deepened isolation further still. Avoiding confronting feelings surrounding choices made thus far would lead nowhere good eventually either. The festival continued its lively pace around us while inside raged battles fought silently without resolution ever coming forth despite all efforts made thus far trying desperately hold on to something slipping further away each day passing by now. Then came an unexpected sight. A familiar face emerged from behind one booth nearby. Sarah, an old friend from college days long gone by now but still holding memories cherished dearly deep down inside somewhere buried beneath layers built up over time since then. "Emily. Is that you?" She called out excitedly waving her arms above head catching attention instantly towards herself drawing closer quickly catching up with us both standing there frozen momentarily taken aback before responding warmly back towards her arrival here today amidst chaos surrounding everything else happening currently all around. "Yes. It's been ages." My voice sounded brighter than expected even though beneath surface lurked shadows threatening pull down once more if not careful enough navigating through these turbulent waters ahead now looming ever larger threatening engulf entire existence if let go unchecked soon enough. "Oh wow. You look amazing." Sarah exclaimed, genuinely smiling brightly while glancing between Richard then back towards myself, curiously taking stock, probably wondering how things have been since last meeting together long ago. "We've been good," Richard replied casually without missing beat, adding nothing further beyond surface-level pleasantries exchanged easily enough between acquaintances reunited after years apart. But before any more words could be exchanged between us three standing there amidst festival chaos happening all around, the air shifted, suddenly charged, electric pulsing heartbeat quickening rapidly within chest, rising higher, beating louder, drowning out noise outside altogether, leaving only clarity behind, remaining present moment shared amongst friends reconnected after so long apart now. Tyler approached unexpectedly just then, breaking through crowd, effortlessly moving closer toward where Sarah stood chatting animatedly, catching sight, first glimpse, recognizing familiar face, instantly igniting spark recognition, igniting warmth, spreading outward throughout entire gathering space filled, previously only emptiness lingering heavily earlier moments prior. "Hey! Long time no see," Sarah exclaimed cheerfully, reaching out, giving him quick hug, greeting warmly before stepping back, grinning widely, taking stock, everything unfolding right before eyes, witnessing reunion happening right here right now, bringing forth unexpected joy, filling hearts everywhere nearby. But within seconds tension grew palpable, thickening atmosphere surrounding everyone gathered close together, feeling weight pressing down upon shoulders heavier than ever before, threatening suffocate entirely if not careful, navigating future ahead, cautiously stepping forward into unknown territory, awaiting patiently beyond horizons stretching endlessly outward, beckoning forth whatever fate lay ahead. And just like that, the world narrowed down into two distinct choices standing firmly before me. Stay lost within this tangled web spun carefully around lives intertwined, tightly holding onto threads woven deep into fabric existence shared previously, or break free entirely, risking everything known thus far, plunging headlong into uncharted waters filled. Uncertainty lurking just beneath surface, waiting patiently, ready strike whenever least expected, next moment arriving swiftly without warning, ever approaching closer, still threatening change everything forevermore. The choice loomed large above head, casting shadow darker than night itself, forcing confront deeper truths hidden away far too long, already yearning release, finally breaking free once and for all. But could anything truly change moving forward without sacrificing pieces self left behind along journey taken thus far? The vibrant atmosphere of the arts festival buzzed around me, a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds that seemed to swirl in harmony with my chaotic thoughts. Vendors showcased their handcrafted wares, laughter erupted from groups gathered around food stalls, and the sweet scent of kettle corn filled the air. Yet, amidst this lively scene, I felt an unsettling disconnection between the world outside and my inner turmoil. I wandered through the crowd, trying to find clarity among the noise. Tyler's presence lingered in my mind like a shadow refusing to fade. Each moment spent with him had transformed into a secret I carried close to my heart. The thrill of our connection was intoxicating, yet it came with a weight I couldn't ignore. My husband's expectations loomed over me like an unyielding cloud, darkening even the sunniest moments. As I moved past a booth displaying intricate pottery, I overheard snippets of conversation from a couple nearby. They were discussing their recent engagement, their voices filled with excitement and hope for the future. The woman's laughter rang out bright and clear, contrasting sharply with my own feelings of guilt and confusion. Their joy served as a reminder of what I once had, an uncomplicated love that now felt distant. "Can you believe we're finally doing this?" the man said, his eyes sparkling as he looked at his fiancée. "I never thought it would happen," she replied, her smile radiant. "But here we are." I turned away from them quickly, feeling as if I were intruding on a moment meant for those who still believed in fairy tales. My heart sank as I realized how far removed I was from that kind of happiness. My life had become entangled in something forbidden, a connection that filled me with both warmth and dread. Just then, Tyler emerged from the crowd, his expression brightening as he spotted me. "Emily. There you are," he called out, weaving through festival goers until he reached my side. "Hey, I managed to say, forcing a smile while my heart raced at his arrival. "Are you enjoying yourself?" He glanced around at the vibrant displays, but his eyes quickly returned to mine. "Trying to," I replied cautiously. The weight of our secret hung between us like an invisible thread connecting our hearts yet threatening to snap at any moment. "I saw some incredible artwork back there," he said enthusiastically, gesturing toward a nearby tent filled with paintings. "You have to see it." I nodded absently, allowing him to lead me further into the festival while my mind raced ahead. As we walked side by side, the familiar warmth radiated between us, a silent acknowledgement of what had transpired during those stolen moments together. Every brush of his arm against mine sent shivers down my spine, every shared glance felt electric yet laden with unspoken words. After admiring several pieces of art that did little to distract me from my thoughts, Tyler leaned closer. "Emily," he began hesitantly, "can we talk?" "Like really talk?" My stomach twisted at his tone. There was urgency laced within it that made me uneasy yet curious about what he wanted to say. We stepped away from the crowd into a quieter corner near an old oak tree where families gathered for picnics under its shade. "What is it?" I asked softly when we found ourselves alone for just a moment. He took a deep breath before speaking again. "I need you to know something about me, something important." His gaze held mine firmly as if searching for answers within them. "What is it?" My heart raced again, anticipation mingled with fear coursed through me. "I've been in love before," he confessed quietly but clearly enough for me to hear every word without distraction from our surroundings. "It didn't end well, and part of me worries about what's happening between us." His admission struck me harder than expected, an unexpected twist that added another layer of complexity to our already tangled situation. "What do you mean?" The question escaped my lips before I could stop myself. He hesitated before continuing cautiously, "I don't want us to repeat history, but there's this connection between us that feels different." My breath caught in my throat as realization washed over me like cold water. Tyler was grappling not just with feelings for me but also fears rooted deeply within himself, fears that mirrored some of mine too. Before I could respond thoughtfully or even process fully what he'd just revealed about himself, an impulsive decision bubbled up inside me fueled by desperation. It felt like time slowed down around us as if fate itself held its breath waiting for my next move. "Let's get out of here," I blurted out suddenly without thinking through consequences or implications behind those words spoken so freely amidst chaos surrounding us both right now. The festival fading away into mere background noise compared against this pivotal moment unfolding before us under branches swaying gently above our heads like sentinels keeping watch over secrets shared beneath their boughs. Tyler's eyes widened slightly in surprise but then softened into something resembling understanding mixed with excitement, a shared thrill dancing behind them urging us onward toward whatever lay ahead waiting patiently just beyond reach. In that instant together, two souls yearning for solace, we made our way toward an uncertain future filled with possibilities yet fraught dangers lurking hidden beneath surface waiting patiently ready strike whenever least expected next moment arriving swiftly without warning ever approaching closer still threatening change, everything forevermore. As we stepped deeper into unfamiliar territory together hand in hand, my heart raced wildly against chest-echoing rhythms matching pulse-pounding loudest beat ever heard. I couldn't shake off lingering doubts creeping back into consciousness whispering cautionary tales warning against reckless abandon leading down paths fraught uncertainty where choices made could alter lives irrevocably forevermore. Yet amidst fears swirling around head clouding judgment entirely, I chose hope instead holding tightly onto fleeting moments shared knowing full well consequences awaited should truth emerge revealing hidden affair lurking beneath surface waiting patiently ready strike whenever least expected next moment arriving swiftly without warning ever approaching closer still threatening change everything forevermore. The family gathering buzzed with laughter and chatter, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling within me. I stood at the edge of the living room, cradling a glass of wine, watching my husband joke with his sister. Their shared laughter was warm, genuine, and for a moment, I felt a flicker of nostalgia for the simpler days when our bond felt unbreakable. Yet beneath that surface warmth lay an uncomfortable tension that gnawed at my insides. As I shifted my weight from one foot to the other, my mind drifted back to Tyler. Our last encounter echoed in my thoughts, his hands on my shoulders, the way he listened as I shared parts of myself long buried under years of marriage. The thrill of our connection lingered like an uninvited guest in my heart. The guilt had settled heavily on my chest since then, but so had a sense of longing that I couldn't quite shake off. The gathering continued around me. Children played tag in the backyard while adults mingled over platters of food. I caught snippets of conversations, the usual family gossip mixed with updates on everyone's lives. But all I could think about was how far removed I felt from it all. "Emily. Come join us." My sister-in-law's voice broke through my reverie. She waved me over, her smile bright and inviting. I forced a smile and made my way across the room, but as soon as I joined them, the laughter faded slightly. My husband glanced at me with an expression that held both concern and confusion. "You okay?" he asked quietly. "Just tired," I replied too quickly, hoping to deflect any further inquiry. "Long week?" he probed further. "Yeah," I said, taking a sip from my glass to mask the unease creeping up again. The tension between us felt palpable, a silent acknowledgement of something unspoken hanging in the air like a dark cloud ready to burst. As we settled into small talk about upcoming family plans and holiday gatherings, a sudden commotion erupted outside. A loud crash followed by panicked voices drew everyone's attention toward the backyard. Instinctively, I moved toward the sound along with others, curiosity piqued amidst rising concern. When we reached the back door, chaos unfolded before us. One of the kids had accidentally knocked over a large pot filled with soil and flowers while playing tag. The child stood frozen in shock as dirt spilled everywhere. Parents rushed to comfort him while others began cleaning up the mess. In that moment of distraction, Tyler's face flashed in my mind, his reassuring presence during moments when everything felt out of control. But here was my husband stepping into action alongside his sister to help tidy up the mess without hesitation or complaint. Watching him interact so effortlessly with family stirred conflicting feelings within me, a mix of admiration for his kindness and guilt for what lay hidden beneath our shared roof. "Everything all right?" he asked again when he spotted me lingering by the doorframe. I nodded slowly but couldn't shake off an unsettling thought. Was this what love had become? A series of polite exchanges masked by layers of unaddressed emotions? As much as I admired his ability to adapt and engage with everyone around him, there was something missing, something that Tyler seemed to fulfill effortlessly during our stolen moments together. After helping clean up the mess outside, we returned inside where conversations resumed their natural flow. However, an unexpected moment caught me off guard. My husband leaned over to whisper something funny he'd heard earlier in the day aimed at lightening my mood. His closeness sent shivers down my spine, not entirely unpleasant but not wholly comfortable either. "I appreciate you," he said softly before retreating back into conversation with another relative. Those words lingered longer than intended, an echo against the backdrop of everything else swirling within me, a reminder that despite our differences lately, there were still threads binding us together as partners navigating life's complexities side by side. Yet just as quickly as it came, doubt crept back in again like an unwelcome shadow lurking behind every laugh shared among family members, a reminder that perhaps this life wasn't enough anymore, not when compared against what Tyler offered. Emotional intimacy wrapped in layers soft enough not to cut through existing ties yet strong enough not to let go easily either. As evening wore on amidst laughter echoing throughout rooms filled with warmth, another wave crashed over me, a sudden pang realizing how fragile everything truly was underneath cheerful facades masking deeper truths begging acknowledgement before they could unravel completely. Then came another unexpected twist. My husband reached out for my hand while leading me toward one corner where dim light illuminated photographs capturing memories frozen in time. Moments from our early years together before children arrived, changing dynamics forevermore. Look at this one, he pointed out proudly, holding up an old snapshot featuring us laughing carefree against mountain backdrops reminiscent of adventures taken long ago before responsibilities weighed heavily upon shoulders now bent under pressures unseen. I smiled, genuinely recalling those days filled with joy, but also felt something shift within, a reminder that despite all efforts made towards connection, we had drifted apart somewhere along life's path, leading down separate roads paved differently now than imagined back then. Suddenly overwhelmed by emotions threatening to spill forth unbidden, clarity struck hard amidst chaotic thoughts swirling around head, reminding me why choices mattered more than ever. The choice between staying grounded within familiar comforts or risking everything for something unknown yet tantalizingly close, if only willing enough dare reach out even further beyond boundaries set long ago. Before long, dinner was served, bringing everyone together once more around tables adorned, beautifully decorated yet somehow still lacking vibrancy once radiated freely between loved ones gathered here tonight, sharing stories woven tightly together through years spent building lives intertwined intricately despite struggles faced along way. But just then disaster struck again. My phone buzzed, insistently tucked away inside purse, resting precariously nearby, catching attention, immediately drawing focus away from festivities unfolding around us. I hesitated, briefly contemplating whether or not answer call, disrupting flow already established, feeling guilt creeping back into consciousness, threatening ruin everything built thus far. And yet part of me yearned desperately for connection beyond these walls surrounding. Connection found only recently through Tyler, who understood depths rarely explored elsewhere, filling voids left behind by absence felt too keenly, now standing right beside someone who once knew every piece, carefully crafted throughout years spent building lives intertwined intricately despite struggles faced along way. With trembling hands reaching out, instinctively grasping device tightly, hoping against hope it wouldn't be what feared most, pressing down heavily upon heart racing wildly against chest, echoing rhythms matching pulse pounding, loudest beat ever heard. But fate had other plans, waiting patiently, ready strike whenever least expected, next moment arriving swiftly without warning, ever approaching closer, still threatening change everything forevermore. The phone rang, slicing through the thick tension in the air. I froze, caught in a moment of indecision, my heart racing as I glanced at the screen. My husband's name lit up, a stark reminder of the life I had momentarily escaped. Tyler's eyes met mine, filled with an intensity that mirrored my own internal struggle. "Answer it," he urged softly, his voice barely above a whisper. The weight of his suggestion hung heavily in the air between us. I hesitated, torn between two worlds, the familiarity of my marriage and the intoxicating allure of this forbidden connection. The phone continued to ring, each chime echoing louder than the last, demanding my attention. "Emily," Tyler said again, this time with a hint of urgency. "You need to decide." With trembling fingers, I swiped to answer, bringing the device to my ear. "Hello?" My voice sounded distant and strained. "Hey, it's me," my husband's voice came through, steady yet laced with an undercurrent of concern. "I just wanted to check in on you." A lump formed in my throat as I glanced at Tyler again. His expression was unreadable but filled with a mixture of support and apprehension. "I'm fine," I managed to reply, forcing a calmness into my tone that felt entirely false. "Are you sure?" "You've been quiet lately," he pressed gently. "I know things have been rough between us." The truth hung heavily in the air, silence stretched out like a taut string ready to snap. My mind raced back to moments shared with Tyler, those stolen glances and whispered confessions that had shifted something deep within me. The words caught in my throat as Tyler leaned closer, his presence overwhelming yet comforting. "Emily?" My husband's voice pulled me back sharply from my thoughts. "I'm here," I said quickly. "I was thinking we could go out for dinner tonight," he suggested casually, as if unaware of the storm brewing inside me. Just you and me. The invitation felt like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters, a chance to reconnect or perhaps further distance myself from what had become increasingly complicated. Sure, I replied automatically while glancing at Tyler again. There was a flicker of disappointment in his eyes that pierced through any resolve I thought I had. We can try that new Italian place downtown, my husband continued enthusiastically. I've heard great things about it. As he spoke about plans for dinner, another realization hit me hard. This was not just about me anymore. It involved more than just fleeting moments with Tyler or memories buried beneath years of routine with my husband. It was about choices that would ripple through every aspect of our lives. Emily? My husband's voice broke through once more. Yes? I love you. The sincerity in his tone made something inside me twist painfully. I love you too. The words felt hollow against the backdrop of everything else swirling around in my mind. As we ended the call, silence enveloped us once more, thick and suffocating like fog rolling over Asheville's hills on a cold morning. I set down the phone on the table between us and exhaled slowly as if deflating under pressure. What did he say? Tyler asked quietly, his gaze searching mine for answers that were still shrouded in uncertainty. He wants to take me out for dinner tonight. The admission felt heavy on my tongue as if voicing it made it all too real. Tyler's expression shifted from concern to resignation. He leaned back slightly as if distancing himself from an inevitable conclusion we both understood but dared not speak aloud. What do you want? He asked softly after a moment's pause that felt like an eternity stretching before us. The question lingered between us, a fragile thread connecting two hearts navigating uncharted waters filled with fear and longing. But what did I want? Did I crave comfort or adventure? Love or passion? I don't know, I admitted finally, feeling raw and exposed beneath his gaze. Tyler sighed deeply. It echoed within me like thunder rumbling across darkened skies before a storm breaks loose. You need to figure it out before it's too late. His words hung heavy in the air, resonating within every corner of my mind while shadows danced around us, reminders of choices made and paths taken leading toward uncertain futures entwined together yet painfully apart. As dusk settled over Asheville, the vibrant arts district fading into twilight, I felt lost amidst swirling emotions threatening to consume everything familiar around me. Family obligations clashing against desires awakened unexpectedly by someone who shouldn't have stirred such feelings within me at all. Suddenly everything changed again when another call came through, the screen flashing bright against dimming light revealing an unknown number this time. My heart raced anew. Apprehension coursed through veins like wildfire, igniting every nerve ending, urging caution yet curiosity beckoning recklessly forward into unknown territory waiting patiently beyond reach. With shaky hands reaching out, instinctively grasping device tightly, hoping against hope it wouldn't be what feared most, pressing down heavily upon heart racing wildly against chest, echoing rhythms matching pulse pounding, loudest beat ever heard.